What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down the difference between 5-star quarterbacks and 0-star quarterbacks. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it could teach you a few new things. But also, fellas, if you are a QB or wide receiver and would like to train with us this offseason, we are going to be traveling out to 8 more states across the U.S. for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver camps. Next up on our camp tour, we're coming out to Honolulu, Hawaii, and then Boston, Massachusetts. Both of those camps are completely sold out, but then we'll be heading out to Cleveland, Ohio, Austin, Texas, Seattle, Washington, Newark, New Jersey, Denver, and Los Angeles, California. So if you guys want some more information, how you could sign up to train with us, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have you out, fellas. Again, very first link in that description below. Let's get started with this video. So pretty much what we're going to be discussing today, you guys, is why certain quarterbacks have that 5-star ranking, why certain quarterbacks are unranked, don't stand out to college coaches, and pretty much just differentiate the two on film and differentiate their throwing mechanics. What's the difference? What do college coaches look for in quarterbacks in terms of how they throw the ball and the plays that they make? Okay, so first thing we're going to be looking at here is film from some 0-star quarterback that I found. This random quarterback, don't know his name, found his film on Twitter, but this is a play that was probably third on his highlight tape. Because at the end of the day, fellas, to stand out to a college coach, especially a Division I college coach, because that's where all these 5-star guy goes. They go to these Power 5 schools, top schools in the country. What's the difference, right? There are so many quarterbacks across the country that can throw a good ball, that throw a tight spiral, that have good arm strength, that have accuracy. But what's the difference? And 99% of the time, it is usually what they show on film. So this was this quarterback's third play on film. Now, this is the play that you want to try to avoid putting early on your highlight tape, and honestly, putting on your highlight tape in general. So this quarterback just kind of pulls the ball, RPO, and just throws, just a wide open slant, and his guy pretty much walks into the end zone. Now, listen, it's great. Through a touchdown, he made the right RPO read, if that is an RPO, and, great job, threw a touchdown, but this is not a highlight, fellas. This is not something that a college coach is going to say, oh, I want that guy on my team because he can make this type of play. And listen, I'm not degrading anybody who, has a great team. They got a great O-line. They don't have to make these extend plays where it's, those jump off the tape on film, but this is not a highlight. There are a lot of quarterbacks across the country that can make this exact same throw that will never play college football. And I'm just trying to be honest with you guys. You have to make explosive plays on your tape. Now, there are pretty much 5 key things that a college coach is going to be looking for, and especially a Division I quarterback, and especially in a 5-star quarterback. The first one's going to be arm strength. The second is going to be extend playability, and we're going to talk about that through the course of this video. Third is probably accuracy. Now, I would say fourth is probably size. Size definitely does matter. We'll talk about that too as this video progresses. And then last but not least, it's probably going to be football IQ. Now, again, this quarterback might be very smart. He might fit the mold size-wise, but there are a lot of quarterbacks like that across the country. We don't want to put basic, just because it's a touchdown doesn't mean that it's a highlight. So now we're going to look at this next example here. So this next example is from a 5-star quarterback out of Los Alamitos, California. Malachi Nelson, insanely great talent, can throw the ball extremely well, and this is a great example of arm strength, right? These are the types of plays that you want to be able to showcase on film when maybe you have a great team, because this is the same high school that I went to, right? And a lot of people would critique him and say that, oh, well, he can't throw under pressure, he can't throw on the run, but honestly, it's no fault of his own. He's got a solid team, right? He's got a very, very good team, and the league that school plays in, because I played at the same exact school, is not the greatest league in the world. There's maybe 2 teams that they play every year that can compete with them. But for the most part, especially these last couple of years, they have steamrolled everybody in their league because of the talent that they've had. Like, let's put this into perspective. They were a Division I school in the playoffs. The school that they are playing right now, this is Huntington Beach High School, they're like probably Division VIII. So there's a 7-division gap between the talent levels and deemed of this district that they feel here. So again, a lot of people will say, oh, well, he's only good because he's on a great team, but you see the throws that he makes on film, no fault of his own that he's on a great team, but this showcases that he has that Division I level arm talent. And these are the throws that you want to try to include. This is the first throw on his highlight tape because it shows he's dropping back. He's throwing this thing from the 40-yard line with ease, dime, just right over the shoulder. Looked effortless, and that's a 45-yard ball. That's the type of arm strength that they want to see at the next level, because especially those Division I guys. And again, the stars thing is honestly all BS because, yeah, he's ranked 5 stars. The other quarterback's probably ranked 0 stars. None of that matters. If they end up going to the same college, let's say, nobody cares if one was a 5-star. Nobody cares if one's a 0-star, because in college, it is cutthroat. They want to win. And if they don't win, coaches get fired. The coaching turnover, you see it every single year in college sports. The turnover of college coaches is so huge. Coaches will go to 4 different schools in 4 years, right? Because if they can't win, they're going to get rid of them because they need to win now. College sports is a win now business. So it doesn't matter. Nobody cares about the stars that you have coming in. But if you're anything like myself, you probably wonder how guys get stars. What do they deem as star rankings? And 99% of the time, the guys giving out these star rankings, dude, they've never even touched a football field. They're just doing it for views. And no, respect to them, right? It's an honorable business that they're in. But like, let's say, for example, Rivals, right? Rivals ranks guys 4-star, 3-star. Like, who the hell is to say who's a 4-star, who's a 5-star, and who's not? They have no idea. They probably never even played football before. They do it to get clicks. Because if you post a video and you say, hey, 5-star quarterback out of Southern California does this, that probably gets a lot more clicks than, oh, quarterback, Los Alamitos High School, throws a touchdown. Like, it's just they need clicks because that's where advertisers will pay for it, and they thrive off of advertising dollars. So don't get discouraged if you don't have a star ranking. You should never set out to get stars. I'm mainly talking about the guys who play Division I college football, right? Because I think if you're a quarterback and you get a Division I scholarship, you're probably very, very talented because I don't know what the percentage is here, but it is unlikely to play quarterback and get a Division I scholarship. I think if you listen to the things in this video, and maybe you don't go Division I, but maybe you can get your education paid for with a Division III school, Division II school, whatever it is, based on following the advice in this video, right? So this is the first thing, arm strength, right? And a lot of people would hate on this kid because, again, like I went to the same school, fellas. A lot of people would say, oh, he's only good. He's good he's not good when he's under pressure. He can't throw on the run. He can't extend the play and whatever. You know what? Maybe that's true. We didn't really get to see much of that, but on his tape, he definitely is doing something correct because he's showing that kind of arm talent and arm strength needed to play at that next level. Now, this is same situation. This is Nico Iamloeva. I'm pretty sure it's how you pronounce his last name. Not 100% sure on that. I'm sure I butchered it, but he's also in California and very familiar with Southern California. This high school he goes to is probably 20 minutes away from where I live. This is not as talented of a high school. The school that we were just looking at, right, Los Alamitos High School, would probably beat, this school is Warren High School. They would probably beat Warren by maybe 30 points if they played each other. This is like Division 3 or 4 playoffs. Last example, Los Al, they played in the Division I playoffs, and that's the team like, Mater Dei, Bosco, the teams that'll beat all the best teams from Texas. That's the league that they're in. This is a little bit lower skill, right? So he probably doesn't have as much of weapons. He's probably not surrounded by as good of an offensive line, but let's look at the plays that he makes, right? So again, another 5-star guy. So he's rolling out of the pocket, makes a guy miss, steps up in the pocket, throws a TD. These are the types of plays, fellas, that can really make you stand out if you go to like a smaller school. If you're not in the biggest area, you're not in the most like high exposure area, like you're in the middle of nowhere. Like, let me just tell you this. If you go, like, let's say you live in the middle of nowhere, Illinois, and you're a quarterback, and you think you're pretty good, and you want to play college football, like, these are the plays that you have to make. This is a dominant play. You have to extend the play. You have to throw off platform. You have to make guys miss. You have to throw while you're being hit. We can't just throw those passes where it's just, I take a one step back, my guy's wide open, and I hit him wide open. You know how many quarterbacks can make that same throw? I think any quarterback that remotely trains can probably make that type of throw. But you have to showcase your arm strength, accuracy, extend play ability. That is what people want to see, fellas. That is why these guys go to these top kinds of schools, because that is what it takes to play at the next level. I mean, like, and especially it's a popular thing to do right now to make these types of throws, because when you guys see on TV on Sundays, you see Mahomes make these throws, Josh Allen make these types of plays. They're looking for that type of quarterback because offenses consistently change. So on your tape, which is what gets you recruited, fellas, you have to have those types of plays. Let's try to showcase extend playability and arm strength. And a lot of quarterbacks will have these 12-minute long highlight tapes with every single touchdown that they've ever thrown. That's not what you want. That is not what you want on your highlight tape. You want 1 to 3 minutes, even 1 minute. A college coach is not going to watch more than probably 30 seconds to a minute and know if you're the guy or not. Usually, he will never watch a 12-minute tape because he just doesn't have time. So you have to make that 1 to 3 minutes the best, most absolute showcase plays that you possibly can do. Okay, so now, this next example is a clip from a kid. This is mechanically what a lot of D1 coaches don't look for in a quarterback. So, and I think everybody talks about the eye test in recruiting. Oh, does he pass the eye test? Does he do this? Does he do that? And there's also an eye test for quarterbacks in terms of how you throw the ball and how the ball comes off your hand. So we're going to look at this throw from this quarterback. And again, maybe not one of my favorite drills to do for a quarterback, cone drills in a setting like this, a camp. Like I would rather, have them teach and critique. But this is, a competition camp, so I get it. But I want you to watch how he throws this ball and watch where the ball misses. So when he lets go of this ball misses left, obviously not the most velocity on the throw. It's tailing this way. So this is something that a college coach will not want to see in a quarterback if he's watching him. So this quarterback, when he goes to throw, obviously you see how he kind of dips his head out of the throw, elbows pulling, head dips, arm exits his frame, and he's coming across his body, right? And you see how his toe ends up over-rotating, his elbow drops, his shoulder pulls, and the ball tails off to the left, right? So that's like that consistency element that a college coach may not want to see. That's like that eye test thing. Because, like let's say, for example, you go out to a camp and you're in a group of 20 quarterbacks, right? To stand out to a college coach in that type of setting and on tape, you got to throw the ball well. You have to be able to spin the ball. You have to have the right mechanics. You have to have that twitch to your motion. So what are some of the things that we need to emphasize? And that's what I want to talk about. So when this quarterback throws and he's in his throwing base, not a bad base, weights loaded on his back leg, back foot sitting back. But the main key nowadays with quarterbacks is they look for that like whip of the arm. Right? And so that whip of the arm comes from your ability to produce torque. So torque comes from something called hip and shoulder dissociation. That essentially means it's like hitting a baseball, if you will. You have the baseball bat back here, the hips come through, and the ball kind of, the bat trails behind. Same thing with throwing a football. You're rotational. A baseball hitter and a quarterback are both rotational athletes. So that's how you want to throw the ball. And that's what they're looking for in terms of how the ball comes off your hand. So when this quarterback throws, he's very linear. He does a mistake of pushing off of his back foot, which causes his weight to go forward, which prevents his hip rotation. So let's talk about it, right? So he gets in a base to throw, but you see how his leg kind of extends and pushes, right? So what that does when you push off of your back leg to get to that foot strike position, your entire body weight, the whole left side of your body has all of your weight going forward. So what that prevents you from doing is rotating and closing your front side back as your hips are able to rotate through. You don't keep your weight back, if you will, which is the key to being able to produce torque. The throwing sequence generating torque, that dissociation, comes down to three things. You want to get your front stride down, but as your front stride gets down, you want to try to stay loaded on your back leg. When that front stride hits while you are loaded on your back leg, you want to rotate your shoulders back and take the football back. Because when you're loaded on your back leg, that makes it easier for you to rotate your shoulders. Now, the reason why you want to do that, the reason why it's not good to open up with your front side is because when you rotate your shoulders back on the foot strike and then you go to drive off of your back leg, I don't think drive off the foot. I think more like drive off the quad and open up your hips. Your shoulders trail behind, right? The throwing sequence should be front stride, then hips, then shoulders, then ball. That's how you generate torque. That's that whip. That's that snap to the throw because you were generating power lower body, right? So we want to make sure, but when he steps, his weight pushes forward, right? So there's no weight on his back leg on the strike. Even though he's taking the ball back with his hands, he doesn't get that full front shoulder rotation. So what ends up happening in his throwing sequence is that his shoulders will come through before his back hip does because his shoulders never officially got back and he didn't keep his weight back. So what ends up happening is you see here, the shoulders end up coming through before the back hip, the back foot kind of trails behind, so he has no power from his hips or from his legs. So to generate power, what he does is he dips his head and pulls the front elbow down, pulls the shoulder open. He's generating power from his shoulders. Like I said, quarterbacks, we're rotational athletes. So you're going to either rotate at your hips or the other source of rotation is your shoulders. So when you have improper lower body mechanics, the shoulders will make up for it. But as we know, watch what that does to his release. His release extends outside of his frame. His arm is coming across his body. And what does that do to the ball? That makes it miss left to right. All because of the lower body mechanics, fellas. He doesn't have that twitch. He doesn't have that snap. Now, is a Division I college coach going to be able to tell you all of those things about your throwing motion? Probably not. And at a camp setting, he probably doesn't have the time to explain that to you. But that's why I'm explaining to you. And that's not their game. Those guys are X's and O's guys. They expect you to have this stuff down upon entry. They're not going to work on that stuff with you when you get there. So that's why this quarterback missed left, because it's all flawed from the lower half. He's pushing and pulling rather than snapping snapping. And you see this throw here from the same quarterback that we were discussing, Nelson, right? The ball rips off of his hand. Anybody that sees this guy throw in person knows that, right? The ball rips. So let's talk about his mechanics, talk about the difference. He hits the back leg. Does it look like he pushes? No, he's stepping, and you see how his back leg kind of stays loaded. It stays in the grass. He keeps those shoulders back. So now, what's that next part of the throwing sequence? He steps, front foot's down, his weight is loaded back. What has to happen next? The hips have to come through, right? So where does that front hip go? That front hip opens up. His back hip is coming through before the elbow, before the ball. And does he need to dip his head and pull his shoulder? No, he could just snap his release because he stays level with the shoulders, level with the hips. His head stays steady. There's no over rotation pulling open. His front foot stays grounded, all based on that first part of his throwing sequence, right? Remember, we get to my back leg, we load on the back leg, we stride, we stay loaded for just a split second so I could get that full rotation with my shoulders. So we stride, then the hips come through. Hips come through before the ball, and you don't need to pull down. You don't need to dip your head. You don't need to rip open. So your release point can stay where? It can stay inside of your frame, and you could get to something we call extension. Extension is the wrist flick, and that flick is that twitch that college coaches are looking for in your throwing mechanics. And it's all based on the lower body. The lower body will trigger the hips trigger the upper body, and the upper body triggers that snap of the release. So fellas, this is what they're looking for. Like, it's just clear as day when you see quarterbacks do that, big head dip, pull the front elbow down, all of those bad habits, fellas, that it's a turnoff. College, there's an eye test for size, but there's also an eye test for the way you throw the ball. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you would like to come out and train with us in 8 more states this offseason that we will be coming out to, all of these camps will probably sell out within the next month. Our Boston and Honolulu camp are already sold out. But if you guys are local to one of these cities and would like to train with us, check out that very first link in the description below. Again, we'd love to have you out there. I'll see you guys next time.